Okay, good morning to everyone. Our next presenter will be Dr. Anthony Owusu-Ansah. And his topic is a very interesting one. It's the Ashanti Queen Mother, Traditional Power, Brokers in an Empowered World. And the interesting thing about Dr. Owusu-Ansah is that his mother is a Queen Mother, and he'll tell you a little bit more about that. He's from the College of Education, and let's give him a round of applause, please, and welcome Dr. Anthony Ansah.
Okay, good morning again, and welcome. When I saw the email about this symposium, I felt, I think this is a very good chance for me to share a little bit about Ghana, about how women have and all that. And it's unfortunate I have all the young ladies going out. I wish they sat down and listened to the kind of power they have, and they don't even know. Being an African-American lady, you have to listen to some of the things that is out there, but it's okay. They have classes, so they have to go. Maybe we'll have another time to share with them. My presentation today is about the Ashanti Queen Mother, and I chose that because today people think that yes, ladies don't have power in Africa. They do have power. In an empowered world, they are very powerful. I saw it real time. There's not more about research, no. I lived with it. I lived all my life with the lady who had the power over men. She sat on a big stool and the men were sitting down on the floor. And that's the truth. So those are the kind of things that we need to know. And also I've seen so many of our young ladies picking names like, my name is Ashanti. Do they even know what an Ashanti is? It's the truth. I'm not making any stereotypes here. I think it's good for them to have an idea of what the kind of names they pick from Africa really mean. Ashanti is more of an anglicized version of the real thing called Asante. A-S-A-N-T-E. It's not Ashanti, Asante. So I call myself Asantini, meaning I'm from an Asante, the Asante tribe, not Ashanti. I won't even call that. I'm from Asante Man, not Ashanti Man. We don't say that. Asante, A-S-A-N-T-E, not A-S-H-A-N-T-I. No, nobody would say that. So we have our Queen Mothers that we'll call them Ohemaa. Ohemaa is the singular, and then Ohemaa with the A will be the plural. So if you have your name with H-E-M-A, Hema, meaning you are a Queen Mother to me. I think there's a professor here called Hema, something like that, but it's okay. So this is our presentation for the day. Now let's I want to give you a little bit of some kind of history about Ashanti land or Asante Man, going back in history. This is not the whole Ghanaian map. We've cut it on top there. That is where the Asante Kingdom rests. From the coast down here to the top. So you see that Asante Man covers a whole big place right there on the map. Now, what makes it Asante Man is the fact that all those places here speak one language, with different variations. We speak the Akan language, Chi. So if somebody is here, say Jumpa, or say here in Asankragwa, They will have their own dialect, but they still understand the kind of language I will speak, the kind of Chi I will speak. It goes way back, Brekum, where Dr. Mankwale came from. Dr. Mankwale we lost last year, right there, and even Sunyani. Now, with everything in the middle, Kumasi is the capital of the of Ashanti Man, or the Ashanti Kingdom, right here. So the big thing is, in Ghana, we have our central region somehow is sitting here. No, this should be the central region, but they say it's this central region. So we have the western, we have the eastern, Greater Accra, and then we have the Brong Ahafo. All these regions here speak some kind of the Akan language or the Chi language, which most of us understand. All right. Now, these people here, the Greater Accra and the others on this side will not speak our language. But some people around the Akosombo Dam will speak the same thing. So, but from here, going back to the west, we have the same language, but with different dialects. Now, this is Ashanti right there. Right in the center, you can see all the different towns and villages. Kumasi being the center is in the middle, and then we have Tepa, Yinehi, Mansun Kwanta, Bekwai, Obuasi, and this is where we have the gold. The gold mines are right here. The best, the richest gold mine in Africa, but it's all mined out now. There's nothing, but there's still something there. And then we have Bekwai, we have Konongo, and then we have Kumeru right here up to this point. But this is more like the Ashanti Kingdom right now. So who are the Ashantis? Or who constitute the Ashanti man that we've been talking about? It's one of those several societies constitute a larger cultural group known as the Akan, located in the Ashanti region of Ghana, and I'm part of it. Central to our life is the dynamics and of chieftaincy and to the identity of every individual of the cultural and the kinship system that is matrilineal. Ours is more matrilineal, meaning my mother has a whole lot of power over my father. My mother had the power to choose a king when the king dies. If my father decides to divorce my mother, it's okay, you can go get your baby somewhere, but your son will never be a king. My mother chooses the king.
I bet this is the best country in Africa.
So that shows the kind of power the Queen Mothers have. When I was growing up in high school, every Tuesday we got people coming to our house with all types of cases and things like that. But you will see that they come in with all the reverence. Nana will be asleep somewhere and say, "Hey, Anthony, come over here. Nana will hang up. Nana, please go back home." Then I'll go back to Nana's bedroom and say, "Nana, these people want to see you." Nana, I'm not ready to see them right now. Tell them to go. That's the kind of thing we saw out there. So let me give you a brief history of the Ashanti Kingdom. Now you can see from the dates right there, way back, 17th century, and we have all our kings coming up. Nana Setutu the First, 1680, way back. And the Ashanti Kingdom was so powerful militarily. We conquered almost every part into Ivory Coast and all those parts. So you can see some parts of Ivory Coast to the east dress and behave like we do. They have the same chieftaincy things out there. So you have them coming up, Opokuwari, Nana Kusiobudu, Nana Ose Kwajo, Nana Ose Kwame, Nana Opokupofi, Nana Ose Bonsu, Ose Yawa Kocho, Kwakudia the first, Kofi Karikari, Mensa Bonsu, Kwakudia the second, and then Kwakudia becomes Prempeh the first, who was taken out to Seychelles when the colonial masters came over. And one of the ladies who fought these British was Nana Yasantua. I think most of you may have heard about Yasantua. She was the only lady who stood firm and said, we'll fight these white people. She had a gun, boom, 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 and the white ran away. But, but after everything, Nana Prempeh I came back, died on the stew, and then we had Prempeh II. I saw Prempeh II. And then when he passed, we had Nana Pokuare II, and then now we have the Nana Osei-Tutu II. Funny thing, or the interesting part of the whole thing is, Nana Osei-Tutu II is the son of the Queen Mother, who is still now on the throne. And she is 107 years. Yes, she is still alive. She had 5 boys, but she had to choose the best one. And the best one was the last boy. And the last boy was Osei-Tutu II. We played with this gentleman when he was young, and he was literally groomed in the house. Just that. He was groomed to have that position. And then when Nana Pokuare passed away, he was the right choice. Nobody had any qualms about it. All right, so this shows that this kingdom has a whole lot of history behind it, and it's still going on. In spite of all the new political systems we have, the king and the queen mother still have a whole lot of power to do things they want. The Asante Kingdom was founded by the great King Osei-Tutu in the 18th century. Now, the good thing, or another interesting part of our kingdom is the fact that at the time we believe in, not that we believe, we still believe in gods, we still believe in the power of the earth, the power of the skies. So anytime the king wants to do something spiritual, we have to pour libations. And you pour libations first to the earth goddess, Asasiya, and that shows the power of the woman. We believe everything comes from the earth. And we give the earth the name Ya, meaning Ya is a lady born on Thursday. If you're born on Monday, you are Jua. If you're born on Tuesday, you are Abina. If you're born on Wednesday, you are Kuya. If you're born on Thursday, you are Ya. If you're born on Friday, you are Fia. And if you are born on Saturday, you are Ama. And if you're born on Sunday, you are Kosuya. That's it. For a guy like me, if I was born on Sunday, I'm a Kwesi. I was born on a Monday, so I'm Kwejo, or some people say Jojo, or whatever it is. So Casey and Jojo, okay, there we go. So Casey Jojo was born on a Monday. If you're born on a Tuesday, you are Kwabina. If you're born on a Wednesday, you are Kweku. If you're born on a Thursday, you are Ya. If you're born on a Friday, Kofi Annan, remember that? If you're born on Saturday, you are Kwame, like Kwame Nkrumah. And if you're born on Sunday, you are Kwesi. Very simple. So anytime a lady gets a baby, Monday we already know who that gentleman or lady is. You have a first name even before you go home from the hospital. So this is the way it is. All right. Konfanochi was so powerful, and he unified all the different Asante states together with a stew. So if you are invited or selected to be the king or the queen, you are given a stew, right? And the stew is, we have a whole lot of rituals that go with the stew so that everything is in it. Okomfanochi held the state together with what he called the golden stew. The history has it that he conjured the stew from the heavens. Right. And the stew is right now in Kumasi. Of course, if you go to the Manshia Palace, you'll never see the stew. But when we were growing up, just behind the main hospital, they had a small place there, and there was some kind of a metal down in there, right, in the soil. And that is, they told us that is where the stool came down from. Right now, I think they've called on it. Nobody will go back. When I was growing up, you could easily go around it and you see it. But right now, they won't do that. Now, one good history about Ashanti is the fact that Okomfanochi planted 2 trees. The 2 trees were the kum tree. Then the kum tree was planted in 3 different places. So the 2 trees have predict the capital of the Ashanti Kingdom. So if you have Kumasi, it means that the tree lived. Kumasi. If you have Kumawu, meaning the tree died. Wawu means that you are dead. Wawu means that death. So you say, if you have Kumawu, meaning that the Kuma tree died. If you have Kumasi, meaning the Kum tree survived and it grew up. So that's the derivation of Kumasi right there. We have the tree lived, and that's a place where we have ourselves present day Kumasi. All right. So a little bit of that, I think we have everything here. The only thing you need to know on this slide is the fact that there are 3 major groups in Ashanti, and if you are an Ashanti kid, you should be one of those. You are either an Oyuko, a Kona, or what's the next one? The last one will be Adriana. So you are Nanano Oyuko 4, Nanano Adriana 4, and Nanano Kona 4. Somebody might ask, okay, Tony, who are you? I'm an Oyuko. I'm an Oyuko because my village is close to Kwamai, and Kwamai is a little bit to the north of Kumasi. Adriana 4 will be to the south and the west, and then the other guys will be to the east. That is the Ekwana 4, Bekwai, Fomina, and Amwafo. So those are the 3 big areas that we have. Now, this is my little buddy there. This is the present king of Ashanti. This is Dosage the Sikkim. We played soccer with him. Now I cannot even go close to him. Right. I cannot go close to him. But the good thing is, anytime we go to Ghana with anyone and say we have an person there and he sees me, he'll tell all the guys, please stay around. Call this gentleman to come close to me because he's my friend. That's about it. But that's him. And you can see all the gold out there. It takes so many hours to dress him up to be able to come out. But that's it. Right. And we'll have another time to look at kinship. Today we're looking at queen mothers. So just look at one of those.
Now I'm a two by day. I shall tell you upon your coupons. Someone to wash my sins away. Now I get to my song in an amazing way. Lord Jesus, baby. Oh, you better. Oh, I need someone to wash my sins away. Now I can sing a brand new song with amazing grace. My Lord Jesus, that I could never fail. Oh, Ghana, my Asante, my Nanoma, Mina, Meshema. The decline me the and check a seer every. Now say to Santa Hine, what the mamma. Maybe I'm a crano. Say, yeah, I know who's with you. And the Monica, and I'm watching in South Remy. I wish you broke a and the Monica, say, maybe I'm a cryura or swimming fan crack a seer in front sentiment, mamma. And the Monica, and Chebiana, Yera, it didn't fear to do a benya so. Who so many in San. Ye dear, we know. Yapim to be a nano yan, ye dear baby.
Na Monica,
It's in check a CA free. Never could be so one pim, not Santa Hima,
na Monica,
and I'm a dear brem.
and I want not say,
Me buy a many degree. Just said, a Ghana for an assassin to four. Ye were mamre and ye were man.
Monica,
Ye near to Quay. Said ye no, ye baba tetu, ya mabati.
na Monica,
They will be binti, Yabeka.
yo,
Yabaka hay and Yabeta Bruni, Maswa Bruni, Sabi, only a mamrebian. So, open now be when he said, woman for, and I say, Ghana for, or what chair mamredia.
na Monica,
Mama, my woman, Hano. So, what you must say, no man will be free. No man will say, baby, you're free. No, that's a culture.
and I want not say, Monica,
It's your name and yet be.
Monica,
Let me say, you're put an undear mystery.
Monica,
Because I am one. Maybe I'm over to you for some who never be.
Monica,
Say, my dear Conya, if you do so, being shed uncle, mean two grandco, a like traditional gathering.
I want not say,
It's makes back as I'm very privileged to be here today.
oh, Nana, that's a bar. The moment some gets a bribe you,
If I know that a grobia so I will hear her,
and a Monica,
no one's a mine or her,
Monica,
my idea, Munkoso,
and I'm up here,
no one's a more National House of Chiefs, who are
Monica,
now my fascinated papa.
and a Monica, and I want to know,
My sister won't come out, mood digging, mood depressing.
Monica,
Because of maybe you are not boy. And then you may be Nana Osu Adiobi or your medical cocoa.
Nana
But I to you or you cheer back.
that's right,
It's not a ha, nip your money me.
and I want not say,
I'm saying, I mean, more mom get me Facebook friends, a great time said. At the end of a pay, I went to match my bar.
up here,
Now, when you say, we have a poor for time, a brace, so share. Ah, Sammy, a pro, what do you know in TSS?
sanity,
And said Nana Adiobi is an exemplary example of
and a Monica,
Yamiashiano.
Monica,
For someone to be grabbed to be a free Ghana, a area, man, not 2 days ago, and my son's not playing more.
yo,
It's a privilege for him.
yo,
Yamiashiano. Now, I put for a grab the man, and I said, Nana, and humble. If I may say, but 2 grab
and a yo,
but higher Bucci.
yo,
I'll give it to you. Higher Bucci.
yo,
Every time, if you are the
yo,
I also saw the other guy said, Manager, he knew. Nana, or met to be a you.
yo,
So that's an right man taking a corner soon.
yo,
Not a beer, a near my way at your own.
yo,
I can't be too for this, and almost something, Nana.
yo,
And I'm ready to be very much so, but some at it so. It's even himself or almost so fame.
Monica,
Fano prayer, never yes, no, be young with the free.
na yo,
Asante man pointing out to hey.
yo,
Nana, what am I making many masses?
yo,
Maybe if I can say me,
yo,
now a lady same kakre with me say, Nana, and no surprise from the traditional council.
yo,
Me then I'm pointing yake tiago. So Nana, a metia yeshiani,
yo,
wakame of Akuma.
yo,
And then what I say day, second then I can the coronation now. And then a neck, and I can please second Yasua.
yo,
You cannot be in an Nana, who is with you.
Yeah.
Oh, they could see a pass, but also a can of honey.
yo, Monica,
Price for Nana, I'm pointing in as a boss, Kucha Hini, Asante Mary Siani,
and a Monica,
so Hanover, Befanto, Hamburg for him say.
yo,
And then in this year, Nana, who is with you, or what for him, Aman.
yo,
Nana was your man.
and a Monica,
It's not, and I'm ranting in home, I can over you. It's you, what's the man now? I'm pointing this in control.
yo,
Then you're saying, buy now, you be a man in America. And so, if you said this is the right forum, I bet me discuss that.
yo,
But they must have been carried everywhere. And I know when I said, I can say, Mama,
yo,
to have people like this in this gathering, an honor for me.
yo,
If I am a Yajiba,
yo,
I'm very privileged to be here today.
Joe.
May Bompire say next year. May Ba may spend more time with her.
yo,
It's and she has a Emma nephew could be say one.
yo,
MC so Casado.
Joe.
What's the one such a problem? vampire. It's not you run as a sword.
Yo,
That's what it's about.
Monica,
It's as I said, and yet the prayer.
Yo.
It's whatever. What was as a problem? Oh, my asu-tv.
Yo.
Maybe it's me. Say you do diction grana, you became my asshole.
Yo.
I know also do whatever. Say the name upon this year. Or say the tea winner.
Joe.
What I want to see the channel.
Joe.
With a massive English.
Monica, and I'm Monica.
This is the picture of Ya Asantewaa, the Queen Mother of Ejiso. Ejiso is only 12 miles from Kumasi, and you can just quick through it. 12 miles is nothing. It's just like some of us driving from our homes to campus. But today, everything, Kumasi and Ejiso is just like one. You can just drive through it. But this is the lady who fought the British. And then at the end of the day, we had the king arrested and then banished and taken to Seychelles Island, not to be seen. But this is the powerful lady right there. And in her place right today, this is Ya Asantewaa II, very young lady. I don't know whether my lady with lipstick on has the power like her great grandmother. But that's our new Ejiso Ohemaa. That's the Ohemaa in Ejiso right now. One thing about our system is that every little village in Asante Mine is chief and then a criminal. Or there's an Ohini and then there's an Ohemaa, right? If the Ohini or the Ohemaa has a little lot of money, she can go this way. She can just flaunt it all over the place. If she doesn't have the money, that's fine. You are still the Oba Penny. Oba is a lady. Oberima is me, a man. So Oba Penny is the head of the matriarch in that small village. So that's the way it is. So basically, even though she's about 27, 28, she's still the big one, the powerful lady there. She talks or she comes up with laws, and old men agree and accept it. Now this is an example of the Queen Mother sitting in state. This is not in Ghana. This is a kind of rendition of Queen Mothers in Netherlands. Ghanaian ladies who have moved from Ghana to Netherlands with the tradition over there. So you can easily see that. Tradition barely dies. It will never die. So that's the way it is. But look at this big gentleman here, sitting right there, right on the floor. That shows the power of the lady, right? And if you had to go before the Queen Mother, you cannot put your cloth this way. Your cloth should come right here to show difference. I mean, like respect to the lady right there. This one here. So who is the Ashanti woman? If you call yourself Ashanti, this is it. I am the mother of the man. I alone transmit blood to the king. If my sex die, this is a quotation right from a book. In the clan, then that very clan becomes extinct. That's it. We have a saying in our language that Samampomu Sodro, Winiwua, Wabusiasa. Meaning, if your mother dies, you are nothing. Yes, that's it. And I've seen it. My mother passed, and nobody cares about me again. If mother was around, I could easily go back, Mom, hey, how you doing? Not even my sisters. And it's the truth. I don't make anything up. My little sisters who rode on my back are now big ladies with big money. I have a doctorate. I don't have money, so they don't care about me. But if my mother was around, she would. That's it. And that's the quote right there. For be there one or 1,000 male members left in the clan, not one can transmit the blood and the life of the clan. And the life of the clan becomes merged on this earth by the span of the man's life. That's it. So that shows how powerful our ladies are. We in Ashanti have a law which decrees that it is the daughters of a queen who alone can transmit royal blood, and that the children of the king cannot be heirs to that too, period. That's all. You cannot be that. The law has given us women a power in this land so that we have a saying which runs like, it is the woman who bears the man. That's the king. So women are too powerful out there. Again, the power of women, we have a whole lot of rituals. And like I said at the beginning, we believe in the earth goddess, Asasiya. We have female power in Ashanti is associated with ritual orientations to plants, the earth, and fertility. Those are the things we do. The Queen Mother is a sign of authority in the Santaman. We have Ohemaa, like I said, and then she heralds the male chief, that's the Ohene. The chief is Ohene, the Queen Mother is Ohemaa, right? So the king of Ashanti is always the Asante Hene, not Ashanti Hene, Asante Hene. And I think we have the picture already, so I won't go back so that we can move on quickly. So what are the duties of the Queen Mother? A Queen Mother's duty reflects her relationship to the chief. In other words, the chief is picked from the same line, right? When my mother passed, the lady who came up, who took her place, was her mother's sister, right? So they chose right there from the same house, from the same set of ladies. They chose that lady to be there. Now, she was chosen because now things were changing. We didn't like Queen Mothers who were not educated. The Queen Mother, right, the one on the stool right now, is a teacher. So she speaks very good English, she does everything well. So that's how she was chosen. She is an embodiment of the motherhood, the oral traditions we have, and is considered to be the mother of the clan in her town, and consequently, the mother of the chief. She possesses enough traditional knowledge and wisdom that legitimizes her authority and is expected to impart that to the chief on a regular basis. If you have a chief who does not know anything, who is only there because he wants to be a chief, no. If you mess around with young girls, you are out, things like that. We have no room, zero tolerance for any foolishness, excuse me to say, on the part of the chief. And it's the same to a queen mother. You have to hold yourself right there. She has knowledge of the genealogy of the royal family and political wisdom. She exercises moral authority as an advisor to the chief on matters of tradition and religion, but also on secular affairs. Again, she assumes responsibility of the properties of the stew. The stew is very important for Asantis. Every chief or queen mother has that little stew hiding somewhere. Anytime the queen mother goes outside for any occasion, somebody carries the stew behind her. She does not sit anywhere. She goes out with her own stew. Yes. She is the nominator of the chief. If the chief passes, she nominates someone to take his place. Her heaviest responsibility is for conflict resolution. That's a big one for her. All queen mothers should be available to hear cases involving women, domestic affairs, issues of everyday life, even commerce. Oh, this lady picked my husband. Okay, you don't have to fight it. Take it to queen mother's house. She will resolve it. Oh, this gentleman had an affair with my young girl or my little girl and had impregnated her. No, you are in trouble. You cannot have a baby with a 17, 18-year-old girl. No, no, no. You will be in prison. You will be there. And it's a different thing here. 18-year-olds can easily have babies easily. No, when I was growing up, that was not it. No. You have to be shown to the queen mother that you are ready to marry before you do it. She holds formal court sessions on Tuesdays, and during this session, she has 8 linguists. 8, depending on the size of the village, depending on the size of this small town, whatever it is. And those linguists are called achiami. Achiami is the plural. The singular is ochiami. All right. And then these are all men, except for one woman who will have to be there. She has ritual duties. The queen mother is expected to celebrate religious rituals like the Akwasi and the Ewuku. A little bit about that quickly. It looks like we're running out of time. But the Akwasi is the fact that Ashantis have their own calendar, annual calendar. Ours run every 9 weeks, what we call 40 days. Every 40 days we have the Akwasi. Every 40 days we have that. The Wednesday before the actual Akwasi will be Ewuku Day. So Akwasi is a Sunday. It always falls on a Sunday, where we pour libation to the stews, to the egg goddess, to all the spirits out there. So that is very important. Now, if you are a queen mother or a king or a chief, whatever it is, and you are even in the United States, you have to think about that. You have to do something. You know what to do. Okay, so today, what are the changes that we're seeing in Ghana in terms of the local governments that we have, or the new political systems as against the traditional systems? Now, in those small local government areas, we'll have a chief, a guy who has been appointed by the ruling political government. So they will have to sit with the Queen Mother, not the chief or the king, to think about cultural matters, things that happen within that locality. So she will give knowledge of the cultural environment to those local government people on things like child abuse, child labor, defilement, domestic violence, teenage pregnancy, marriage, inheritance, child education, and things like that. And these are all research areas that some of us can go out there and then look at it. We don't have to do all. We can look at maybe the role or her role in, say, teenage pregnancies, marriage, and things like that. And that would be very interesting. And then I think that's it. Any questions? Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, that was very interesting. Thank you, Dr. Owusu. Is a Queen Mother just one?
No.
At the time, or are all the women Queen Mother?
No, not all the women are Queen Mother. No, don't do.
That was my question.
We have the Queen Mother, we have just one Queen Mother for every village. Okay. And then we have one big Queen Mother for the entire Ashanti.
Okay, presidents and
right.
queens. Okay, thank you, Dr. Walsh. Let's give him another round of applause. This was a very interesting topic. Thank you. Okay, for our next presentation, we have Silka Deely, and she's from Liberty House. She's definitely representative of an activist.
This is our local domestic violence shelter and program. We cover 17 counties in Southwest Georgia. And of course, our hub is in Dougherty County. Domestic violence is not an easy subject to discuss. You can anticipate intense disagreement depending upon the background and areas of interest of any participant in the conversation. Unfortunately, this leaves retreat from the forum as a very viable and maybe even a wise course of action. But perhaps discussion of the subject will become easier if we reflect on 3 important thoughts and learn something about domestic violence so that we can have those important discussions. Domestic violence is a monumental problem of our time. The phenomenon cuts across social, economic, and cultural and ethnic grounds. It is a common problem in all 17 counties, and in particular Dougherty. Response to the problem is costly to law enforcement, healthcare, social services, education, families, and to our judicial system. The personal harm to the physical and emotional well-being of the victim is overwhelming. Domestic violence stimulates a passionate response from many who have experienced it or work in this area, where the impact is most intensely felt, or who have felt futility in trying to bring reform to our laws. Reform to law enforcement, social services, and the judicial system in order to address the problem. Cynicism abounds on all sides, and constructive criticism is often heard as negativism. The legal system put in place to address the problem is less than perfect. That system ignores the adversarial system long adhered to in our courts, encourages pro se representation, often to the peril of the victim, stretches fundamental ideas of notice and due process, and imposes upon the judiciary a proactive social service role foreign to the traditional role of neutrality. The system apparently anticipates staff and resources which do not exist, and leaves cases with mandatory orders which cannot be enforced. The shortcomings in our present system, coupled with our negative response to it, have resulted in victims who are not served, cases that have fallen through the cracks, respondents who are harmed by abuse of the process, and judges who are more prone to fight the problem rather than seek ways to improve the system. The impact of domestic violence on our communities and our courts will continue to grow. Liberty House has been in this community for 36 years, and I don't see us going away anytime soon. Our shelter continues to be full. We have no choice but to improve our methods and mechanisms to deal with domestic violence cases. Open debate is essential. But for that reason, it is very important to be informed, which is why I'm here today. I want to give you a couple of things here. Since I know I was talking to college students, I wanted to give you a couple of statistics in regard to just general information about college dating. And maybe you'll agree and maybe you won't, but we'll see. College students prefer short-term casual relationships over long-term relationships because it allows them to focus on their academic and career goals. So, number one, women make up 56% of the college population. However, when it comes to dating, men have the advantage. There are actually 44 men for every 56 ladies. It's a little easier for guys. I can't read my stuff here. It's a little easier for guys to snag dates with a larger pool of women to choose from. Here's a surprising statistic, perhaps. 25% of college seniors are virgins. College campuses aren't just hookup heavens. A number of students have begun choosing abstinence over condoms. 12% of females and 13% of males over the age of 21 are virgins. 32.5% of college relationships are long distance. High school relationships can be hard to let go of. They can also be difficult to keep alive. So if you've tried to remain with your boyfriend back home, it makes it quite difficult. 1 in 4 college students has STDs. And I see that we have someone here, I think, talking about HIV, right? So with 1 of every 4 students contracting some kind of STD, you never know what your potential date might be hiding. 63 of college women hope to meet their spouse in college. Today it might seem like many women head off to college for the MRS degree, but surveys conducted by the Independent Women's Forum disagrees. 3 out of 5 college students, female college students, agree that college is where they hope to meet their mate. By senior year, 70% of students have hooked up. Worried you won't find someone worthy enough to take home in college? Don't be. An astounding 72% of college students experience at least one one-night stand by the end of their senior year. 1/3 of college students have been on fewer than 2 dates. Dating in college doesn't mean you'll actually get the chance to go on a real date. 1/3 of college students confess that they've been on fewer than 2 dates in 4 years. So don't assume that hanging out means dinner and a movie. So a couple of other quick facts. One of the top reasons college students break up is cheating. No surprise there, I'm pretty sure. College students prefer short-term casual relationships over long-term relationships because it allows them to focus on their studies. And most college couples break up around spring break, summer vacation, and right before winter break. So in case you didn't know that. So as we're talking about abuse and violence, nearly half, 43% of dating college women report experiencing violent and abusive dating behaviors. College students are not equipped to deal with dating abuse. 57% say it's difficult to identify, meaning that they don't know what it is and haven't been able to identify that for themselves. 58% say they don't know how to help somebody who's experiencing it. 1 in 3, or 36%, dating college students has given a dating partner their computer, their email, or social network passwords, and these students are more likely to experience digital dating abuse. 1 in 6 college women has been sexually abused in a dating relationship. So where does that leave us? It leaves us in a place that we really need to be informed about what is domestic violence. So what is domestic violence in Georgia? Under Georgia law, domestic violence primarily includes the following crimes: battery, simple assault, stalking, criminal damage to property, unlawful restraint, criminal trespass, or any felony. The crimes must occur between past or present spouses, persons who are parents of the same child, parents and children, step-parents and stepchildren, foster parents, foster children, or others living in your house, and this includes college students who live in a dorm and have roommates. So if you hit, slap, push your spouse, your live-in boyfriend or girlfriend, or your baby mama, this is domestic violence. Even if you don't physically harm someone, for example, by leaving a bruise, cut, or scratch, it is still domestic violence. Furthermore, it is domestic violence if you do something that makes the other person scared that you're about to injure them, such as getting in their face while screaming threats and violence. It is even domestic violence if you break into your ex-spouse's apartment or damage his or her property. If you are arrested for domestic violence, you cannot bail out until you appear before a judge. This generally means that you will be required to stay in jail for at least 24 hours. So there are a number of things that can happen in relationships that would be described as domestic violence. Some other lesser known issues relate to a dating relationship where someone is using up all your time, not allowing you to have friends, isolating you, following you around. If you have technology at your fingertips, which pretty much, every 9 out of 10 people have some kind of technology, a cell phone, anything where you can be reached by someone, the chances of you being stalked or hacked are extremely high. And what a wonderful way to follow somebody around and terrify them other than through technology. And especially on a college campus. So much of what happens on a college campus includes technology of one sort or another. So when we start thinking about teen dating and college students that are dating and the relationships that you forge during that time, college is also a time of experimentation. So we might get into either lesbian relationships, homosexual relationships. There are lots of opportunities to be in relationships that may foster some kind of violence. And if you have a family history of violence, you may not recognize what is happening in your own relationships, and it's really important to educate yourself around that. And again, the technology is a perfect tool to, when you think about how many times you send a text message. You know, I text with people during the course of the day, but when I talk to young women and young men who are texting, some of those texts are 100, 200 in the course of one day. I can't even imagine how much time that takes, especially because I'm a really slow texter. But I've seen other people just do it really, really fast, so I imagine for them maybe 200 is not such a big deal. But those tools are extremely prolific in managing ways of increasing the kind of violent activity, threats, stalking, all of that. So, on college campuses, I realize that there are any number of ways to find information about what you need to do. And unfortunately, domestic violence is one of those things that doesn't seem to get a lot of play on college campuses. Even though you might read something in the paper, you might have a bulletin board that may have something on it, but it's not something that is discussed in the classrooms as far as I understand it. I've been in this community for 14 years, and getting into the high schools, getting into the schools, trying to get that information to kids, because we're seeing violent relationships as early as the 4th and 5th grade. You know, the focus has been on bullying, but kids that bully early on, you know, when we've got kids that are being suspended from school when they're in kindergarten for fighting. That's a wake-up call. We have to get in there and provide some information so that we can address this, because that 4 and 5-year-old that's getting suspended from kindergarten is going to be the adult abuser who's going to end up in jail because he's going to hurt somebody. So, what are some of the obstacles facing college students? Sometimes college students feel trapped by the social networks and the closed environment of many campuses. Students may feel isolated from their personal support networks and resources to help because the student is away from home for the first time. This is especially true if the student is also from a different state or county. They may have a small or limited social network due to the college campus atmosphere. Administrators may not understand the scope of the problem and not reacting appropriately, i.e. if professors and teachers are not notified about domestic violence relationship between the students. Students may fear their parents finding out and taking the students out of school, and there's certainly a level of shame if you are in a relationship that you are finding to be physically abusive and emotionally abusive, and all your Facebook stuff has you with your partner and everybody's looking happy and wonderful, and then how do you go back and undo what you've posted on Facebook for 2 or 3 months? So there's a level of shame. Some students cannot afford any kind of supportive services, and to that I say that in every community where there is a domestic violence shelter program, there is support and it doesn't cost a dime. Liberty House has outreach advocates, and of course we cover 17 counties. So the services are available to you. Everything is free and confidential. Nobody ever needs to know that you're there with us, asking for help and asking for information. Some students may not be able to define their experience as being abusive. When somebody is shoving you, pushing you, the physical stuff is real easy to identify, but the emotional abuse is something else altogether. Partners may threaten to kill themselves if you break up with them. They may threaten to damage your reputation. Any number of things that create a sense of fear in that relationship is abusive, even if it's not physical at this point. And what we understand about domestic violence and intimate partner violence is that at some point, if something isn't physical yet, the longer you stay in that relationship, the more emotionally abused you may become, and then at some point physically abusive, and especially if you decide you need to get away from that relationship. And we encourage that if you're in a domestic violence relationship and you need assistance, just telling that person that you're going to leave is sometimes not enough, and you need other kinds of support to do that safely, because what we do know is that when a relationship ends and it's been coercive and abusive, that the leaving of that relationship leaves you open to the abuser working that much harder to keep you in his power and control, because that's what it's all about. It's about who has the power. And we just heard about Ashanti the Queen. Well, you need to have your own power. You need to be in a relationship where things are equal. And if they're not, then you need to reconsider what kind of a relationship is this, and why am I in it, and do I need to get some help to talk about this relationship? Is it healthy for me? Many students also fear the assailant, so oftentimes due to somewhat isolated atmosphere of a college campus, it's so much easier for you to be stalked because you're on a college campus. He lives on campus, you live on campus. It's difficult. Social networking sites provide easy access for perpetrators to control their partners. So I could probably stand up here and talk for hours about the various issues related to domestic violence, but I encourage you to get educated. I've brought pamphlets and brochures that are on the back table. Liberty House staff are well educated around the issues of domestic violence. They're happy to help you. Everything is free, cost free. There are a lot of services available to you, whether you live on campus or whether you don't live on campus. We also have counseling services that we will pay for if you feel the need to have some counseling around that. We provide support groups, and we also provide awareness and education like today. The more you know, the better you are in controlling what happens in your life, and you're not controlled by someone else. So thank you for having me today. Any questions? Ladies? Okay. There's information on the back table for you.
Hello everyone, my name is Shakana Fulton, and I will be presenting to you the paper that I wrote in my women's literature class about the concept of weaving in various literary works. The history of weaving dates all the way back to the Neolithic time period, a time when women would weave for various reasons. In the following works, Quilting on the Rebound, Everyday Use, The Gaby, and The Weaver, the aspect of weaving is very important and holds significance. In these works and throughout history, women would weave or make quilts for the sake of their history being remembered for generations. The women would make these keepsakes to show that there was a tight bond between where they had come from and where they were going. In the short fiction, Quilting on the Rebound, Terry McMillan's character, Marilyn, has faced many obstacles in her life that would cause a woman to lose her mind. But to ease her conscience, she quilts. In this aspect, quilting is used as a therapy. Marilyn, a 34-year-old businesswoman, finds herself in a long-term relationship with her colleague, Richard, who is 26. She falls in love with this young man after dating him for 3 years. She gets pregnant by him, and they plan to get married, but she loses the baby and Richard calls off the nuptials. In this instance, Marilyn is in a great state of depression. She finds herself torn between the fact that her life is in shambles and how she can no longer get it back. But she does. She gets through her state of depression by quilting, something that her grandmother and mother had done. She uses the time passer as a way to take her away from reality, or to at least ease her mind from the fact that everything was taken away from her. Quilting is her therapeutic release. This started out as an obsession, but ultimately made her better. Weaving is seen as another form of quilting, as in the short story Everyday Use by Toni Morrison. In this story, one can see that there are a lot of aspects that pertain and are centered around the family dynamic. In this story, the quilt is used as a tool that bridges the gap between true identity and speculative identity. The character Dee is a female who has been trying to be something other than what she was for as long as she can remember. She always wanted the nicest things despite her mother's financial hardships. She did not want to live where she was from. She always had dreams of living in a big city making big money, and what she did. When she comes home for a visit, she brings someone with her, her boyfriend, who is of the Islamic faith and seems to be deeply rooted in his African-American heritage. Hence the reason for Dee's strong desire to take the artifacts that her mother has used for everyday purposes, a quilt being the main subject on the table. Dee's mother refuses to give Dee the quilt because she is saving it for her younger sister, Maggie, who is to be married. Dee doesn't believe that the quilt should be used for everyday use. It should be something that is preserved, something that should be used as something to uplift their history. In this story, the quilt is not so much used as something that holds historical value, but as something that is essential for the warmth of another person. While it does hold pieces of clothing stitched inside, which her grandmother and great-grandmother wore, its sole purpose is for the warmth and not for the importance of something that is to be passed down with the story behind it, such as the film Gaby. In the film Gaby, the main character is an elderly woman who personifies the gabe, or woven rug, as her younger self. The Gaby tells the history of two cross lovers who wanted to be together but were kept apart for many years by an overprotective father. In this film, the Gaby also holds the history of a child who has died and the pain that the family went through. The aspect of weaving was very important in this culture. It represented the family as they were nomadic people who traveled from place to place and who needed to keep up with their history. They did that by weaving the Gaby. Any place they stopped, they would weave a part of their life. This work had great significance to their family history and was not something that was used every day as seen in everyday use. It was seen as something that was to be passed down from generation to generation so that the story of it would live on forever. It held sentimental value. This aspect of weaving in the story represented history and family, unlike in everyday use where the quilt was seen as just a quilt, or in quilting on the rebound where quilting was used as a form of therapy. In the gabay, the woven rug that was weaved really was a way of history to be told. It was a family heirloom that held great significance. It was something that should be taken care of. The concept of weaving is seen in another story, The Weaver, but it holds a different meaning in this text. In The Weaver, the aspect of weaving is the central part of the story. The weaver, whose name is Rosette, is famous across the land for her weaving skills. She is put in an uncompromising position, in an uncompromising situation, when the aspect of weaving really takes the front seat. In this aspect, the concept of weaving and how it can affect one's outcome comes into play. Rosette uses her weaving ability to weave tapestries. The tapestries are for the antagonist of the story, Van Rothschild, who wanted to use her as his personal concubine. Rosette was informed by a fairy that if she weaved a red string into her tapestries, which illustrated the Baron's misfortunes, she would be free from him. This work then caused her to hold her freedom. In this case, the aspect of weaving was very prevalent and was used as a form of protection. It was her safeguard. In this situation, it was seen to have a magical aspect added to it. The many stories that were read all held a certain aspect of weaving, whether for protection, history, everyday use, or for therapeutic purposes. It was something that was prevalent and still something that is used today and should never be forgotten.